My God. My God. What's up and welcome back? I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic. And this is Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. It's directed by Jim Jarmusch. It's being released by Mubi. It is technically part of For Your Consideration season. Uh, it's not picking up a lot of awards. It did at Venice, where it premiered, the 2025 Venice Film Festival. It's kind of been quiet. I think a lot of these films that do qualifying runs and then run in January, that's what happens to them. Because it's happening to all of the films this year that are doing it. And they're all good films, but they're all kind of being abandoned somewhat. Not to criticize them because I'm about to just also give them a big, deep, and warm hug. But yeah, this one, is just, to be fair, movie is having a bit of a hard time with some really solid films this year. They've got this, they have The Mastermind, Die My Love, History of Sound, Lurker, um, just in their, uh, you know, fiction section, not counting documentaries or anything like that, or their international films. They also are responsible for Sound of Falling, which is in the international shortlist. So they have quite a bit of films this year that are high quality, and this is one of them, but it just happens to be sort of like last on the schedule for release. So much like films that I've already reviewed, like Dead Man's Wire, uh, films I saw in November that don't open. Rosemead is just now like getting its release. H is for Hawk will come out later. Pillion comes out in February. um, so yeah, there are several films this year that just kind of waited until the last minute, and some of them are better than the films that are actively in the awards race. So yeah, I think maybe this whole qualify run, we'll do it later thing doesn't really work. I think they're more forgiving of international features when they do that, but less forgiving of non international films. Anyway, you should see this film. And if you're blind and low vision, you should definitely see this film because this is by far one of my favorite tracks of the year. And I'm so happy that movie provided it for me. I reached out to my contact because if I always have, it's a varying set of journeys of will I get the accessibility that I need as a blind film critic. And while Mubi does not make audio description for everything, so we're getting there, but it would have been nice to have seen History of Sound and Lurker with audio description this year. I did get it for Die My Love, I got it for The Mastermind, and I got it for Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. So and they provided it just for me too. They created something for me that wasn't there before because their screener that they sent out to everybody does not include it. So they created something for me using the track that they will use in theaters. Excellent. Um, so now we just have to get their streaming service to support their own audio description that they pay for, and then they'll already be like light years beyond IFC, whose AMC Plus service has been around for like 15 years, has complete capability to support secondary audio description, and they just refuse to use their own tracks. So I have high hopes for Mubi if they continue to move in this direction. Um, yeah, this is an excellent audio description track. This is one of my favorites of the year. It was done by a company that I never even heard of before, like Princess Productions. I was like, what even is that? I was just like, what? It was something at the end where I was just like, what? What? Um, give them all the work though. This British guy that's doing this, I this thing is amazing. Whoever wrote this, thank you. This is an exceptional audio description track. This is the sad thing is we're gonna do our audio description project awards, and people they're gonna vote for like films that had like mass appeal, Like last year we nominated Snow White, and I was like, really? One of the five? We nominated Snow White for excellence. Okay. Not that it's a bad track, right? It's not one of the worst tracks I've ever heard, but it just speaks to what people are watching. And I wish I could get blind people out to see Father, Mother, Sister, Brother, just so that they could hear the audio description. It's phenomenal. Like from the onset of the film, when it opens up with the credits are all in different colors, so it lets you know like whose name is in what color, and that's like a sort of like a running theme throughout. It even is in sort of like the end credits, the use of different colors to represent different things so that you can tie different themes together, because the film is broken into three different segments. There's father, mother, and then sister, brother. So, um, yeah, just really great stuff. I mean, the first segment, there was so much stuff that they had to describe. The first segment is Adam Driver, Mayim Bialik, and Tom Waits. Uh, Driver and Bialik play brother and sister, and they're visiting their father, Tom Waits, who is sort of presenting himself as less capable or more of a slob than he really is. Uh, and so there's a lot of a focus on um, the way that his place looks on the inside, and it is actually important, like it is like all of these little things. I love the term bric-a-brac too. I thought that was great. I love when we use words we don't use that much, but they still mean things. Like instead of going through the same exact like three adjectives that we use all the time, somebody's like, "Well, I have a thesaurus." you know. Uh I just, yeah, exceptional. Um the second segment, so much on like these really sort of uncomfortable moments and facial expressions, as two daughters played by Kate Blanchett and Vicky Krebs seek approval from their mother, played by Charlotte Rampling, clearly of varying, coming at it from varying angles. And the third segment um, is Sister Brother, which is Lucas Abbott and India Moore, who play twins that have uh, their parents have passed, and they're sort of cleaning up after that mess. So they're together as sister brother. And there's an interesting twist with that. There's a lot of stuff that they find in terms of their parents' old sort of like identification folder files that's relevant and important to the plot of that story. Not, not trying to spoil anything. They sweep through the apartment and they describe all these different rooms, the kitchen, the way that the counters are shaped, the L-shaped curve to the counters. I just There's so much description here, and it's kind of a really simplistic. Jim Jarmusch makes these kind of quiet, meditative movies, but they also rely a lot on not just the prowess of the actors, but also on the screenplay and the dialogue. They're very much character studies. So it's not that this film is light on dialogue either. Uh, it doesn't overflow with dialogue like, I don't know, an episode of The West Wing where Aaron Sorkin revels in making sure his characters bounce from one to the other while never letting them stop talking. But it does have a lot of conversational pieces, and in the in-between moments, the writer of this track used every beat that they possibly could to the maximum capability of the spot that they gave. I think this is one of my favorite tracks of the year, hands down. I saw this once just for purposes, and I wasn't sure I was going to get a track with audio description for voting because I vote for things, so I wanted to have an idea of where this film went. And it's not my favorite Jim Jarmusch film, to be honest, although you would not you would not guess which one is my favorite Jim Jarmusch film. But if I do this long enough and you start seeing which kind of films I like, you'll be like, "Wait a minute, he's on a completely different playing field." Yeah, I mean, I like films that other people like, it's just sometimes I like a film a little bit more than the people, than the one that everyone else is jumping all over. Um, so much sort of like how I don't think that one battle is Paul Thomas Anderson's crowning achievement for a man who, yeah, already has like There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights and Magnolia on his resume. I think it's hard for Jim Jarmusch to top himself at this point in his career. So this feels a little bit like that, but that happens with a lot of directors. At some point, they will have reached their pinnacle. I don't think Spielberg can top himself. It's impossible. It's really impossible. I mean, when you look at some of the films on his resume, it's like it's impossible for Spielberg, his next film, release day or whatever it's called, the um, that comes out next summer. Yeah, no, it's not going to be. Don't go into it thinking it'll be the greatest Spielberg movie ever. It's impossible. He can't do it. He's got Scorsese's never going to top himself again. Um, some of these people, they already did it. Like they already made the film of their career, and we may not have given them the Oscar for it. So I get that with Jim Jarmusch. I think he's been around long enough. He's directed a bunch of films. I think some people who saw Perfect Days would argue that that might have been at least one of the top for him. Although, while I watched the film, um, it's mostly inaccessible. Although there's a lot of American music in it, which I found to be interesting for a film that lacks audio description. This is fine. Yeah. So I liked the first segment. I was sort of captivated by seeing Mayim Bialik in like a dramatic role. Um, that in a year full of great casting choices like Jim Belushi playing uh, Ken Casey in The Chronology of Water. You've got I don't know, the cast of Marty Supreme. I mean, like Timothy Chalamet is not like a brilliant casting choice. That's just very much like of the moment. But like downstream from that, basically everybody else feels inspired in one way or another, except maybe like Odessa Zion, who also feels like of the time. But I mean, that casting of Gwyneth is targeted. Fran Drescher is inspired. Uh, using someone from Shark Tank to play a billionaire. I mean, like there's certain things in that is just so we've had a lot of inspired casting this year, and I think having Mayim Bialik in a Jim Jarmusch film runs right up there. And then you also have in the same segment Tom Waits, who, while he has done acting before, he's not an actor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he's become one. It's not what he's famous for. And then in the second segment, we are so pleased to have um, the legendary Charlotte Rampling, along with the iconic Kate Blanchett, in the same scene. And then Vicky Krieps, who has been really amassing the right roles, the right talent. It's inspired casting. And then, India Moore is exceptional in the final sequence. I believe she picked up an award at some point for her performance. Uh, and Lucas Abbott. So great casting. It's all of these interesting family dynamics, three different segments. I think sometimes it's the structure of this type of film. It's these sort of like anthology movies that people are like have an aversion to, which is why you don't see them always at the Oscars. It was sort of the Kinds of Kindness problem. So I think that's why Father, Mother, Sister, Brother has not quite sunk in, is because we often don't see films like this getting the same kind of love and attention as a narrative feature that sticks to one story the whole time. So it doesn't mean that this is a bad movie. It's good. Is it my favorite? No, but it might be my favorite audio description track of the year, especially for a drama. Like, I've heard some really solid drama tracks this year, but this is fantastic. And the fact that it came from somewhere that I was like, I don't even know where this is, who this is, what company this is, um, really shows me that out there's someone who hasn't really gotten in on the game yet and deserves to. There's somebody who's working really hard to make high quality audio description, but doesn't work for one of the big houses yet. Uh, or there's a company that has started to shape itself and structure itself with quality of audio description, a focus on human narrated quality audio description that deserves to get more work than some of the companies that do get work because they undercut other companies and people like to cost cut. So, lots of thoughts on this one. It's a weird review if you're cited. I realize some people ran for the door and they're like, I don't know about this guy. What am I here for? But there are like 1,000 cited critics. Definitely a lot of white dudes. So some gay ones too. I'm LGBTQ. So you can definitely find opinions like mine out there, but I'm here to talk about also being blind while doing all of that. So I have to mention that aspect of it. Um, it's a niche market. That's why I don't have 2 million subscribers. that's, that's why I don't work for a publication because likely they're still going to want someone who can talk about why the things are shiny on screen and how good the Transformers look. Like, oh my god, did you see that explosion? It was so good. It was done so well. Yeah, but like the story around it is just okay. Like if we're being honest, that's where I come in. As I go, yeah, I mean, maybe it's shiny for you, but the story though. So, father, mother, sister, brother. Yeah, it's good Jim Jarmusch. It's not great Jim Jarmusch. It's good Jarmusch. And kind of the problem with it is, I think movie has better films this year. Uh, I think this is the best audio description track. Not that I didn't like The Mastermind and Die My Love. I did. I thought they were both good tracks, but this is just on a whole different level. Uh, but in terms of their films, it is above Mastermind for me. I'm not a huge Kelly Reichardt fan. That vibe just doesn't stick with me. I've seen a couple Kelly films and I just, you know, um, but I really like Die My Love. I love The History of Sound. I really like Lurker. So, yeah, it's probably number 4 for me in terms of their English language Oscar Beatty films that opened in the fall half of the year. Um, but they had some stuff earlier in the year that was pretty good. Documentaries like Grand Theft Hamnet, Pavements, but no, Pavements is just on movie. I don't think it is theirs. Um, and yeah, so it's definitely somewhere in the mid pack of the films, and it's hard to get excited because you're like, well, okay, so Adam Driver is better in this movie. Kate Blanchett has, oh my god, so many roles, right? So is Charlotte Rampling, like these actresses, they've been around forever and they've amassed. Even Vicky Krebs, like I really love her in Phantom Thread. I thought she was excellent in that. Um, but for some of the newer actors, to see India Moore and Lucas Abbott, to see Mayim Bialik actually doing like substantial work here. I thought Tom Waits was exceptional. I just couldn't fit him into my supporting actor. I had to cut so many supporting actors just to get to 16. I did have him even without audio description. He was on my like long list. He just ended up being a cut for me, but I thought he was really great. So, father, mother, sister, brother. Should you see it? Yes, especially if you're blind. But if you like Jim Jarmusch, this is right up your alley. Um, but if you're blind, you should listen to this track at some point. It's it's so descriptive. Um, the only thing, and this is sort of like a problem with like every track nowadays, is the aversion to, describing ethnicity. So, especially for a film that starts out with like white people, it's like, do we bring it up? Yes, no, you know, so, um, but that's like, it's so hard to hold that as like the one thing, the one reason why it's not great when 99% of the scripts ignore it also. I usually point out the ones that thank God. Often those films, though, are intentionally diverse casts. I'm waiting for the films that are doing it without race or ethnicity being part of the plot, but yet the celebration of diversity. Sort of like Percy Jackson and the Olympians. They intentionally diverse cast that show. You wouldn't know it from the audio description. So sighted people get it. Blind people were just like, I don't know. What is race? What is ethnicity? I guess that's what they think. So, I don't know. So, um, I speak from a position of whiteness on that, but I have also heard it from people. I just happen to be the one with a YouTube channel, but it matters to people, so I have to continue to bring it up until we address it as a thing. I'm giving this film a 7.7 out of 10. I liked it. Um, I liked the first and third segments the best. I think the second segment is oddly my least favorite. It has the least interesting things happening to it. It felt the most common to me of the segments, I should say. But I thought the third segment was really lovely. I thought the first segment, Tom Waits was just slayed that. I thought he was excellent. So yeah, 7.7 out of 10. Fresh. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys on the other side.